welcome to Vets Remembered. Today we have on our show an interesting fella from who is a World War II veteran. And this gentleman has an extensive records that he has kept about his career in the Army, and it's obvious that he's very, very proud of his service to America. And what I was most fascinated with is his account for everything. So this gentleman sitting next to me, who is Ralph Guettinger, Guettinger, that's how it's pronounced. He's originally from Cochrane, Wisconsin, and this gentleman is very, very fascinating. He's just full of wonderful information that we so desperately need for our community, because history is being lost, because history is not being taught, and it's the veterans themselves who really hold the key to correct information, to the information about what is it to be a veteran, and what kind of a job these people really do and the sacrifices they make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Ralph and allow him to just pretty much take the reins. And Ralph, the first question I have for you is, what year did you enter the service?
1943. If you can give me a second here, I'd like to show this picture here, because that's the way I feel right now. And this is a Bill Mottleton cartoon of an individual who was being interviewed by somebody, apparently. And apparently his sergeant is standing with his hand on his shoulder, and he says he thinks the food was swell over there. But I forget just... he misses the excitement of battle, and you may quote him, but I don't have anybody over my shoulder here. But I feel a little bit like I could use somebody. But what was your question again then, Craig?
When did you enter the military?
March 16th, 1943.
And were you regular Army? Did you volunteer, or were you drafted?
Well, I was not regular Army. You had to enlist to be in regular Army. I was about somewhere in between being drafted. I volunteered for the draft, so I told them to take me, even though my number had not come up yet. But I knew it would be up in a matter of a month or two. So it just, I didn't have anywhere to go, and I had finished a year and a half at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I had run out of money, so it was a good idea, being as long as I was going in to go right away.
When you went in as a volunteer draftee, how does that work? You were in a lottery system, right, for the draft?
Yes, there was a lot.
What was your number?
Oh, don't ask me what the number was, but anyway, once you had volunteered for the draft, and they sent you your order for induction. I've got that around here someplace. I don't know whether I've got it handy, but once you got that way, you were treated as anybody else who had been drafted at that time. And the fact that you had volunteered for the draft, I'm sure it was nowhere reflected in my service record. Mm-hmm. So I was just... The advantage really of volunteering for the draft rather than enlisting was, if you enlisted, you had to enlist, I think at that time, either for 4 or 6 years. Oh, and wow. We weren't so sure that the war was going to last that long, and I wanted to get back to school when we finished with this affair. And so the status of having been drafted let you limit your service to the duration of the war. Mm-hmm. And the convenience of the government.
Why don't you hold this up? I wanted people to see the rate of pay for a private going in. It's right at the bottom, and it says the private's pay at that time was $50 a month. And you were a corporal, and your pay went to $66 a month.
Well, it was big money.
And for shooting a rifle and or anti-tank weapons, just going through pure hell, so to speak. And I remember my pay when I was in, which was many years later, and my pay didn't didn't seem very much either. But $50 a month to be a soldier in World War II as a regular buck private is really impressive to me, that you could actually put up with that kind of money.
I think it started out less than that, somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 for an inductee in the 40s. But this had to be someplace maybe in about 1945.
Wow.
Okay.
And there's a photograph of you from your high school?
Yeah, this is what I looked like when I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school in June of 1941 from Cochran High School. And I went to University at Madison that fall of 41. And I can remember Pearl Harbor Day, the anniversary of which we just celebrated this week. And I was thinking today, you know, about that, and I have the recollection of walking up Bascom Hill at the university and hearing from somebody that we had been attacked by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. And I'm trying to think, I know that the attack at Pearl Harbor was early morning, but I don't know enough about the time differences to know what time of the day it was. It wasn't 7 o'clock in the morning, I know that, so it had to be someplace probably close to noon our time, or maybe even in the afternoon.
And you have a photograph of your wife and you now?
I wanted a recent picture, and unfortunately we couldn't find one of me alone. I shouldn't say that, unfortunately.
Careful, your wife is gonna dump your coffee in your lap.
She may see this. So anyway, we got this one here. She's better looking than I am anyway. So
that's really great.
Okay.
And you have some photographs here of some of your buddies and some of the equipment that you used.
Well, this was the first outfit I was with was the 106th Infantry Division at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I got into an anti-tank platoon, headquarters company, I think 2nd Battalion, or 422nd Infantry it was, and once I had gained that military occupational specialty, the MOS they call it, you're probably familiar with that, but once you have that, then no matter where you go in the Army, why they try to fit you in that same slot. And I was moved through 3 divisions, and every time I ended up in a headquarters company, 2nd Battalion of an infantry regiment, and in the anti-tank platoon. And so that was, at that time, 37 millimeter anti-tank guns, and they were absolutely worthless against the German tanks. They didn't use them hardly for that at all anymore.
And you mentioned that you were the 106. Were they not the same platoon or outfit that was cut off and almost annihilated over in the Battle of the Bulge?
They were hit in the Battle of the Bulge. The regiment that I was in, the 422nd and the 423rd, were surrendered, and it was the major surrender outside of the surrender at Bataan that had happened anywhere during World War II. They were surrounded by the Germans who had come through in the Battle of the Bulge or the Ardennes, and with overwhelming tank support and in a surprise attack, very, very much like Pearl Harbor. They should have been warned that the Germans were coming, but they just didn't prepare for them, and so